to thank you for taking a minute with us. We're coming up on Giving Tuesday, and for those folks that are in attendance at this event, a lot of them don't know our families. So they love what we do and they hear what we do, but they don't know about us, and kind of we try and tell the story, but oftentimes it's better just to hear it from you.
Okay.
Kind of where you were, where we've come. So the first question I have for you, after our first assessment meeting, what was your initial thoughts about Katy Responds? You hadn't heard of us?
No.
Okay.
The way I found out about you was a friend of mine took it upon herself, without telling me about it, to find somebody to help me with my house. As you probably remember, my house was destroyed in the Harvey hurricane, and it had been several years, and I had been picking away at it, trying to repair it myself, but it was an impossible task. There was about $175,000 damage, according to the government, when they came to look at it. And so, I didn't have flood insurance, which it wouldn't have covered it anyway. So I had no idea you even existed. So then when you first came, I was mostly impressed by how kind you were and everything. I was, it's kind of embarrassing to be in that position, even though it really wasn't my fault. But I was embarrassed by it, and I thought that you were so very kind, and you were so wonderful to take on such a large task. I would have never completed it by myself ever.
Well, I like to thank you for that's very kind. I appreciate you saying that. I know it took time, but the next time we met, we were announcing that Katy Responds had received funding for your project.
Yes.
What was your thoughts at that point, when we sat and said, we have the money?
I couldn't believe this was happening to me. I was so grateful. I knew that I would never be able to do this myself, and I just felt so blessed, and like I said, I couldn't believe that this was going to happen to me, and I was grateful for whatever you did. I was so amazed by everything you did do, and that you took on after, like, I assume, like many construction projects, you find other things that you need to fix, and that was like that with this house. And the fact that you all did everything, I mean, you rebuilt some walls and changed some of the structure of the house that needed to be done, and then everybody took on these extra tasks and found extra funding and did the things that needed to be done. You didn't just come in and do things that you said you were going to do, and then you're like, bye. You all came in and you did what needed to be done, and that was just so amazing and such a blessing to me.
I know you used the word embarrassed, and I saw it in your countenance when we were together in the front end of the project.
Right.
So how did you feel with our volunteers coming in when we first did the muck and gut?
Yeah. Everybody was, like I said, everybody was so kind to me, and people kept saying, thank you for an opportunity to serve you. And I was like, yeah, well, it changes your perception of things, I mean, at first, I tell you, I really didn't think of Hurricane Harvey as a blessing, but it turned out to be a blessing. Not only did the house get redone, and you made some structural changes, like we're in the kitchen now, but you got rid of that horrible island that I hated so much, and everything like that. But the people were so nice, and I made new friends, and I got other things from it that I never thought would happen, like through a connection with one of your vendors, I think Tony, who is the plumber. He knows a friend of mine that I didn't know he knew, and then she found out about this, and then she was going to come over and help me do things, because I am just partially disabled, do things afterwards to help keep up the house. But then she found somebody that needed a place to stay, a friend, and she's become a dear friend of mine. Her name is Manelli Uribe. Well, she was kind of like almost living on the street, and she makes the most wonderful tamales in the whole world. And so I was looking at the beautiful kitchen, right? And I think I told you I was so sad for the kitchen, because the kitchen's so beautiful, and because I'm disabled and I'm only one person, I thought, well, I'm never going to use this kitchen, and as I told you, the kitchen, I think, is the heart of a home, and I felt sad for the kitchen. But then by talking to Tony, my friend, Linda Baldwin hooked me up with Manelli, who now lives with me, and it's just, I was thinking about this morning when you said you wanted to do this. Your work is like a ripple in a pond. You know, it keeps spreading out and spreading out and spreading out. And maybe you thought you were just helping me, but you provided a home for another person and a workspace. And she helps me with some daily tasks that I can't handle myself, but she's got a lovely place to live now. And so I think it's really important for your fundraisers, for people that you're raising funds from, to know that what they give doesn't stop here.
I know you were overwhelmed the day that you came home.
Oh yeah, that's put it mildly.
Living in a hotel for several months we had to get you out, but living in a hotel was difficult, I'm sure, but much safer than being here.
Yes,
no doubt. So coming home, you sat right there, and initial impression.
Like you said, I was overwhelmed. I mean, I had never seen the inside of the house after you had really started working on it and gutted it and all that. I'd never seen the inside of the house, and I felt completely comfortable with everything that you all were doing. I had complete faith. And then when I came and saw the house, and it was so beautiful, and the flooring was so beautiful, and it was, I think I told you then that I thought that the house was more beautiful now than when I bought it 20 years ago.
You did, yeah.
And it is true, it is more beautiful.
Well, that's encouraging to us as a combination nonprofit and a construction company,
Mm-hmm.
to know that the decisions that we helped make made you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so last question I have. So, and you've kind of alluded to this, but if you were talking to someone who would be considering supporting Katy Responds
Mm-hmm.
and our mission, what would you tell them?
Well, I think the first thing I would tell them, well, I said a lot about how you work with your clients, and I think that's so important. I think a lot of times nonprofit organizations have a much more high-handed attitude, and you all have a real humble, serving attitude, which is just like, what do they call that? It's like servant leadership, okay? You're leading by doing, and I think also, you know, it's where your faith meets the rubber meets the road, and you all are really great at that, and all your volunteers. And the other thing that I think is so important is for people to know that their gift, whatever they decide to give, however much or however little, it will be used wisely and to good purpose. And also, like I said before, it has a lasting effect in the community and a far-reaching effect in the community, where you're not just helping one person, you're helping many people by helping that one person or that one family.
That's awesome.
It's true.
You are an incredible blessing to us, and we're grateful for these words.